There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the #1 sports podcast, broadcasting Sundays at 9 a.m.-ish in Sacramento, California. Sports Talk 916. Now here are your hosts, Greg Bowl and Coach Greg Barrosi.
Oh, good morning. I feel like I got run over by a truck today. Welcome to Daylight Saving Time. And it is 9-ish or 8-ish on that clock on Sunday morning. This is episode 275 of the little shindig we call Sports Talk 916. I'm Coach Greg. Right there, at least on my screen, is Mr. Chief Greg Bowl. And what's happening?
Not much, man. Had some more technical issues. This damn computer of mine is pissing me off to wit's end. So hopefully I'll be making some changes on that soon.
Cool.
To fix that, and we'll kind of go from there. But things are good.
Yeah, and today's Barn Bomb Day.
Is it Mike's birthday today?
No. Mike hates Daylight Saving Time. He hates the
Oh,
change.
that's right. TJ does too. It's TJ and Mike Day.
Yeah. So, oh well, they'll get over it. We probably won't have to do it ever again. But
yeah, when is that supposed to change? Because I'm all for that.
I think it has to be voted on by the United States Congress. So that'll take about 7 years for it to do.
Right. So by 2063, we'll no longer have to change the clock.
Right, and I'll be 101, so I'll be enjoying that change.
Yeah. They'll be able to bury you at 9 p.m. in the sun. Cool. How was your week?
Sorry, I thought you were talking more. It was good. It was good. Busy. Got a lot of stuff done. Got a lot of good stuff coming up. Swimming's getting underway in full steam. So my weekends and evenings are now spoken for the next 4 months. So I'm happy about that. And yeah, what about you?
Yeah, just been super busy. Things are going good. More Spartan races and stuff next week. And should be a good time. So no complaints.
All right. No show next week, right?
No show next week.
Okay.
1 sec. So let's talk about a little something that happened overnight that should make some football fans in the Bay Area relatively happy. And obviously we're talking Raider fans.
Yeah, the mustache got traded.
The mustache did get traded, and hopefully the mustache gets shaved because that is such a freaking terrible look.
Isn't that horrible?
Antonio Brown is now a member of the Oakland Raiders.
Oakland Raiders.
Hey, Oscar wants to know what national day it is.
I don't know. I will let you know by the end of the show.
What
I got to
kind
look
of
it up.
bullshit is that?
I don't know them off the top of my head.
You're supposed to. But yeah, so Antonio Brown, the newest member of your Oakland Raiders, got traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. So they essentially traded Amari Cooper and a 3rd and a 5th for Antonio Brown.
That's a good trade.
It is a very good trade. And Josh makes a very good point. We'll get to that in a second. But what was your initial thoughts on the Antonio Brown move?
My first thoughts is, who the hell do they have a quarterback that can stay off his ass long enough to throw him the ball? This is going to be as much of a make or break for Carr as it's going to be for anybody else, because now he's got a weapon. He can't say that he doesn't have the best weapon in the NFL to throw the ball to. So, they're going to have to, the offensive line's going to have to protect him better. He's going to have to be smarter in the pocket. And it's going to be a test for everybody, because somebody said it the other day on TV that the Raiders are in a rebuilding, right now they're in a rebuilding program. They've traded everybody away to get all these draft picks. It could be 2 to 3 years before the Raiders really are where they're going to end up being. And
I
And
agree.
is Brown going to still be around? I mean, is he going to be effective at 33 or 34 when all the pieces are finally in place? And I don't know. So they're either going to have to change their approach to what's going on and what their rebuilding program is, or they just wasted a whole boatload of money.
Yeah, they did waste a whole boatload of money if that doesn't pan out. And the thing is, Mike Hawthorne says, I thought they were trying to get younger, then they go out and get Brown. Doesn't make sense. I know Cooper isn't old. If production is there, it's worth it. They gave him an extra, $20-something million on his deal. 30 million of the new $54 million deal is guaranteed. They didn't add any more years. They didn't add an option. They didn't do anything to protect the Raiders. They only did what made Antonio Brown happy. And that's kind of what confuses me a little bit. It also kind of proves that Antonio Brown is quick to run his mouth, and anything that comes out of his mouth doesn't have any value whatsoever, because he demanded that his new contract be 100% guaranteed. He wasn't going to play for anything less. He wasn't going to even accept an offer from another team if it wasn't 100% guaranteed money. Then he just took a deal that leaves $20 million on the table. Sean Carrera just hit another thing on the head. We're going to get to that here in just a second. It revolves around Khalil Mack. This is a very, very John Gruden-esque move. I do give them credit, and if it was Mike Mayock who made the deal, I give him credit. In his first deal, he didn't have to give up one.
Mike Mayock's not making any deals. Come on.
I know. I'm saying if it was him, I give him credit because he did facilitate a deal that didn't get rid of any of those first round draft picks that they acquired this year, which is great for the Raiders. But you hit the nail on the head earlier. Is anyone going to be able to get the ball to him? And Josh Zimmerman said the same thing. Derek Carr is a good quarterback, but Derek Carr is not a deep ball quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger is.
No.
Now Brown can run seemingly any route you ask him to run. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He can play inside. He can do whatever you need him to do. But he's most productive when he's just running down the sideline and then the ball's floated out to him. So it'll be interesting to see how the Raiders utilize that. It's gonna definitely be interesting to see how long. Let's say the Raiders offensive line can't keep Carr up, and let's say that they can't get the ball to him. How long is it going to be before Antonio Brown loses his shit again?
Half a season.
You don't think he makes it a full year?
Nope. Half a season. If he's not getting are you kidding? If he's not getting at least 10 balls thrown to him every game, he's going to be whining and complaining.
See, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think getting the ball to or the targets are going to be an issue. It's going to be, is it going to be the routes that he wants? Is it going to be the deep ball? Is it going to be, what he's most excited for that's, going to produce those numbers for him? And
it can't be, because you're leaving a Hall of Fame quarterback with a big arm who can take hits and can deal with pressure to a guy who's got a medium-sized arm, hardly a Hall of Fame quarterback in any sense of the word, and can't stay standing up. I mean, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know.
Yeah,
unless they can spend some money on some offensive linemen in free agency, you're not going to do it with draft picks.
Right.
So,
the draft picks aren't going to be ready for that.
Josh just asked that. 3 offensive linemen in the first round. You could, but I don't see how 3 rookies are going to come in with that crap show of an offensive line that they had and make any difference. They're going to get run over. You need to come in with a couple of high-profile free agents that are going to solidify your line, and then maybe put a rookie in there or 2 at the most. But if you have the majority
John Gruden doesn't have a history of going out and getting an offensive lineman. Let's just be real about that. So he wants that splashy player that's going to just, make an impact on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Someone mentioned earlier they can't pay Mac in his prime. So let me ask you this. Would you rather pay that $50 million to a 32-year-old Antonio Brown, or would you have rather paid upwards of $100 million for a longer-term deal for a 20-something-year-old Khalil Mack, who seemingly is in the, before the peak years of his career?
I'd pay Mack in a heartbeat. It's not even a question, but that's not the Raider way. We've talked about this before. The Raiders right now aren't about winning. They're about trying to get as many butts in the seats in Oakland, which they're coming back to, and making a splash for when they get to Vegas. So who's going to make a bigger splash with getting butts in the seats, Antonio Brown or Khalil Mack?
Right.
And this is I don't even look at this as a John Gruden move. This is an Al Davis move.
Al Davis is reincarnated for this
but
move.
It's something that Al Davis would do. He would. How many years did he draft speed wide receivers when there were other people in the draft that could have made a bigger difference on the team? Al Davis was in love with speed and fast receivers. Right. And so this trade smells like Al Davis all over again. And that's the whole, the whole Raider way of let's just get speed. Speed's going to do it. And while Brown's, he's the best receiver in the league without a doubt. And he can make he makes the splashy splash, if you know what I'm saying. He makes a splash where they're going to get the highlights on ESPN. They're going to get the fringe fan who knows what a bomb is and an 80-yard touchdown pass is, or at least the potential of that, versus the hardcore fan who can see that a studly defensive lineman or pass rusher is going to make even more of a difference. And so they're going for the big star, let's get butts in the seats type deal than trying to make their team better.
Nelson is all right. He won't have effect on Brown. I agree with that. I don't think Jordy Nelson's gonna help Antonio Brown get much better or be safe in this lineup. The other thing that came up last week, which is very, very intriguing when it comes to the Raiders, is there's a lot of reports and there's a lot of internal talks right now and it's something that I've been saying since before the trade deadline last year in October, is that the Raiders right now aren't sold on Derek Carr, and that John Gruden has a huge, what's up, Mike? A very huge love affair right now with Kyler Murray, and that Kyler Murray, if off the board, which a lot of people don't think he'll be taken number 1 overall. They think that's a smokestorm by Arizona. That Kyler Murray could be available at 3 for the Oakland Raiders and 4. At 4 for the Oakland Raiders, and open up the floodgates for Derek Carr to be moved elsewhere. I don't think either one of those guys is going to be a guy that can get the ball to Antonio Brown. So, no. I mean, what benefit does Brown have on your team other than taking up a ton of cap space for a team that has a lot of needs without a quarterback that can get him the damn ball?
I talked about it earlier, selling tickets. The Raiders aren't about getting good. The Raiders are about selling tickets. I mean, nobody goes to Raider games anyway, so you have to make a big splash. One of the people that we thought might be a good fit for the Raiders quarterback just got traded to Denver this week in Joe Flacco.
Right.
Blake Bortles is available.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I'm at. It's like, what else is there that they can do? Like, we'll trade Carr and move on with Murray. I think that they might. I think that would be Murray, I think, makes more sense than Carr, and I'll tell you why. And the reason for that is Antonio Brown, while he's amazing at running long routes, he's great at getting downfield and creating that separation. That's not where Antonio Brown's at his best. Antonio Brown is at his best when Roethlisberger would get out of the pocket, keep the play going, and he would find that open hole in the defense somewhere in the deep and create that space for Roethlisberger to get in the ball, and then he did his work after catching the ball. Yep. So Derek Carr, he doesn't have that same intangible that Roethlisberger had getting in and around the pocket like that. But Kyler Murray, that's his strong suit. If Murray can get out of the pocket, extend plays, allow Brown time to move around and get away with all of the, get away with all the money or move it. I keep getting distracted by the chop box.
I know, me too.
Run around, create defenses, havoc, and get into those open spaces, those soft spots of the zone, the soft spots of the man, and then create work. That's where Antonio Brown's going to be at its best. And I think Kyler Murray provides that way better than Derek Carr would.
I do too. Oh, absolutely.
It's hard. Oscar hit on the head. He agrees with you. It's about tickets, just like when they brought in Marshawn Lynch. It's all about that. So we covered that. We asked if Derek Carr or if Carr could even make Antonio Brown happy. I saw a thing earlier today and it cracked me the fuck up. It was like the first meme that I saw about this, and it was just writing. It was just like a writing meme, and it was like 3 seconds left on the clock. Derek Carr rolls to his right, deep ball to Antonio Brown, touchdown with 0 seconds left on the clock, and it's like 0 seconds left on the clock. Touchdown Raiders, and then it says final score: Kansas City Chiefs 47, Raiders 7.
That's funny.
Sean Carrera, that's absolutely right. Getting Brown is like buying some new rims for your car instead of buying a new motor that it needs to run.
Yep.
Yeah, this is all for show. I don't know that Antonio Brown makes it through all 3 years of his deal. I think the Raiders.
I guarantee he doesn't make it all 3 years.
You know what? It's funny. I wanted Antonio Brown with the Niners. I thought it would be a good move, and Jimmy Garoppolo probably can get him the ball a little bit better than Derek Carr might be able to. The offensive system with Kyle Shanahan works a lot better with a guy like Antonio Brown. And it kind of goes back on the Bryce Harper thing. I don't know that, I'm not mad. I'm not sure that I'm mad that the Niners didn't even make a run at him. According to Shanahan and Lynch, they weren't even in on him. All the rumors about him going to San Francisco was all drummed up by Antonio Brown. I don't know what Mike's saying here. Hold on. Barn Bomb. Wouldn't it be interesting if Murray is taken at 4 by the Raiders, considering that he almost was going to Oakland via the MLB draft out of Oklahoma? Interesting? No, not at all. I will preface this by saying that I'm going to make a silly statement here, but goes Roethlisberger is going to be worthless burger when he performs poorly, equating to a terrible quarterback rating. Roethlisberger is going to be fine. They have this young kid out there. I don't know if you heard of him by the name of Juju Smith-Schuster, who is going to put up Antonio Brown-esque numbers without the drama of Antonio Brown. So they're going to be good.
Yeah.
What about Carlos Hyde? Carlos Hyde, I think, is going to get looks by a bunch of teams.
I thought he signed with Kansas City already.
He might have.
I think he signed with Kansas City.
He agreed to sign with them because free agency is down for another 3 days.
Right.
So we can't officially sign, but I think that's a great pickup for Kansas City. He's going to work well in that offense with Andy Reid. I'm not a fan of him per se because he just never performed here in San Francisco, but I don't think he ever really got a chance to.
And he had no quarterback, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So, it'll be fun to watch anybody play with Mahomes because Mahomes is going to make everybody a better pass catcher.
Oh, without a doubt. 110%. The other thing that I find extremely interesting about this is, is fans are up in arms. Fans are so pissed. Oh, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? Talking about Lynch and talking about Gruden and all this other stuff. It's like, free agency hasn't even started yet. Why don't you guys calm the fuck down? Like, give it some damn time. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know. It's Kings fans all over again. But what else do the Raiders need? And we have a few Raider fans in the box right now. What Raider fans? What do you guys feel that the Raiders need to do with those 3 draft picks, with the cap space, with free agency looming, to make you confident that they can maybe make a run again before they leave Oakland? Because I don't think Antonio Brown puts his team over the top.
Well, they're not going to make a run before they leave Oakland because they only have 1 year left, and they're not going to make a run next year. I think what they need is they need to draft, and probably what they are going to do, at least all the mock drafts I've seen, they need a stud defensive lineman. Imagine that they had one, but okay.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. They say, "Oh well, this is a glaring need for this Raider team." Okay, well, why the fuck did you get rid of Khalil Mack then?
Right, and then I agree with Oscar. My next thing was going to be they need a strong offensive lineman, some guy, like somebody out of Wisconsin or somewhere like that, where they always just produce studly offensive.
A big country-fed boy.
Yeah, and
David
then
Gutierrez says they should snag up Bell as well. That's not going to happen.
No. And then, they can pretty much, I think those are their two main needs. And then you can pretty much pull a position out of a hat for the third first-round draft pick because they need pretty much everything.
Best available at that point.
Yeah.
We're going to switch gears because it's being demanded right now that we talk Kings basketball and playoff talk, and then we'll get back to football. We'll go back to the 49ers after the Kings talk.
And Oscar, after the Kings talk's over, I'll tell you what day it is too. So
yeah, make him stick around a little bit longer.
Uh-huh.
There we go. Kings took a little bit of a stumble when it comes to the playoff train. Heating up. Okay, Raiders need new ownership. Bingo. There's still hope. There's still a chance that the Kings can make the playoffs. It's going to take a lot better playing than they've been doing. They've been playing very poorly, and I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say they've been playing very poorly. They've been losing more games that they should be winning on a more consistent rate. Not performing at the end of games. This Bagley injury thing is hurting them big time. But with that being said, the playoffs aren't out of reach yet. They're not dead. They're not catching the Clippers. They're 4 games back of the Clippers. They're 3.5 back of San Antonio, which is going to be their only hope of getting into the playoffs, which is going to be the 8th lead.
With one game to play with them, right?
Right. The Clippers, unless they fall flat on their face, are pretty much locked in at the 7. They could even go for the 6 right now because they're tied with Utah. I think the top 5 are set. Golden State, Denver, Houston, Oklahoma City, Portland are set. And then it's 6, 7, 8 that are going to change a little bit with the Kings having a chance to sneak in there. It's going to be interesting to see, though, what happens with the rest of the season. So let's start with the Spurs schedule. We're going to go through and do a win-loss with the Spurs schedule here and see if there's any – see where we end up with them at the end of the season as far as their record goes. So right now the Spurs are standing at 37-29.
Okay.
They're 37-29. Everyone that's talking, any talking heads – and yeah, if the Kings can hit some free throws, that would be amazing. They're 37-29 right now. There's a lot of talks that the Kings are going to need to get to 44 wins, 43, 44 wins in order to sniff the playoffs. So let's go through the Spurs first, and then we'll go through the Kings, and we'll see how things are going to matter on March 31st when the Kings and Spurs play. So as of right now, the 37-29 tonight, they play at home against the Bucks. This is the Spurs.
That's a lot. I think that's a loss.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to beat the Bucks, even at home. Tuesday, they're at the Mavericks.
Man, I think that's a win.
That's a win. They're home Friday against the Knicks.
That's a win.
They have the Blazers on the 16th at home.
At home? That could be a good game. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that they lose to the Blazers.
Okay.
The Blazers, since they've added Enes Kanter, have just become a whole different team. They're home against the Warriors.
That's a loss. I think the Warriors are going to I think the Warriors have hit rock bottom and now are back up on the way up.
I agree. And then the final home game of that stand is against the Miami Heat.
That's a win.
Chad, sign in. If they don't make it, you can all watch Sharks playoff hockey. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win versus the Heat. Oh, and by the way, Sharks Talk 916 will be on at 11 today. Chad and Nolan. Where did we leave off? Away at the Rockets.
I think that's a loss.
Away at Boston.
Boston's playing well. I think that's a loss.
Away at Hornets.
That's a win.
Home against Cleveland.
That's a win.
We're going to skip this one. Home against Atlanta.
It's a win.
At Denver.
That's a loss.
At Washington.
That could be a trap game for them.
Yeah, I think they take a loss in that game. At Cleveland. It's got to be a win.
Yeah.
And then their final game of the season is home against Dallas.
That could be Dirk's last game, so that could be a pretty good game. I'll say that's a win, but that could go either way.
All right, so with those, you're looking at 45 and 35. No, that's not good math.
37.
37. So 29 plus 7 is 30. Yeah. 36. You're bad at math too. 45 and 36. And then the game I skipped is the game against the Kings on March 31st.
And that's at San Antonio, right?
Yes.
What Kings team's going to show up?
Because we're Kings fans, we're just going to give them a loss for that one, right?
Yeah.
We have to assume that the Kings are going to show up for that game.
Right.
So that makes them 45 and 37 on the season. We said the Kings need 40. The Kings would need to beat that schedule to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or beat that record to make it to the 8th seed. Given that, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's going to be really, really tough because right now the Kings are 33 and 32. That means they're basically going to need to go 11 and 6 down the stretch to make it. The remaining schedule for the Sacramento Kings.
And when this season have they played at 11 and 6 clip? They haven't played that way all year.
The schedule is actually relatively favorable for the Kings. So tomorrow they're in Washington. I think that could easily be a win.
Yeah.
They're at Boston. I think they need to win that game. Boston's going to be tough. They only beat them by 2.
When do they play Washington? Today?
Tomorrow. And then Thursday on my birthday, they're playing Washington or Boston. So I'm gonna chalk it up that the Kings show up on my birthday. They're gonna get another win. There's 2. Crazy fact too, but everyone's been raving about how well Boston's been playing, right? Boston went in, beat the Warriors by like 20 or something like that. I don't know what it was. It was something insane. They beat the Lakers by 13 last night. They only beat the Kings by 2 on this road trip. So that tells you something. And then they're at the Sixers on the 15th.
That's a loss. I just can't see any. I can't see him beating the Sixers.
They're home for the Bulls. Should be a win.
That's a win.
They're home for the Nets. The Nets have been playing really good ball, but it's a home game, so you got to imagine that they're going to show up for that, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to give them a win there. That's 4-1 so far on this 5 through 5. Home for Dallas.
That's a win.
Home for Phoenix.
That better be a win.
Right.
If they don't win that game, forget the playoffs. They're done. They're absolutely done.
All right. So then they're at the Lakers. You think that could be a trap game?
Yeah, I think so. I think
so. We'll take a loss to the Lakers. Then we're at the Mavericks.
They don't play well in Dallas.
They don't. So I'm going to give them a loss there.
Yeah.
At the Pelicans.
That should be a win. That's a crap show too.
Thanks, Mike. So at the Pelicans should be a win. Home against the Rockets or away against the Rockets is a loss. We already gave them a win for that Spurs game. Home against the Rockets is going to be another loss. Then they're home against Cleveland. It's got to be a win, right?
Oh yeah. Mike Hawthorne says Kings have beaten the Spurs like 5 or 6 of the
Sixers
last.
out of 5 or 6, 7 last games.
Yeah, but I think the Embiid should be back, right?
Embiid's supposed to be back tonight.
Yeah, so he's back. They're going to start a playoff, which Sixers are my pick to come out of the East. I love the Sixers, and I think that they're going to be a force. So I'm thinking that they're going to be in playoff tune-up mode at that point. So, I don't know that the Kings can beat the Sixers in Philadelphia.
Los Guerrero says, lose to the Fakers, LeBum won't even be playing. The Lakers, LeBron's not shutting it down. He's just on a minutes restriction. He's going to play the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And the Lakers at home are always a tough get for the Kings. There's something about it late in the season that the Kings always end up taking a late loss to the Lakers. And I think that if the Lakers can play spoiler, then they're going to be up to play spoiler. The last 3 games are pretty critical. So they're right now, as we have them, they would be 9-5. We said they had to be 11-6. They win 2 of these last 3. They're at Utah.
Utah's going to be fighting for a playoff spot, right?
Utah should be locked in the playoffs. They could be shutting one down for the
right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Ingram is out too. So is Ball. I think they beat Utah at home or on the road. Then they're home for the Pelicans.
That should be a win.
Which is on my anniversary, so they better win that game. And then they're at Portland, which I think will end up being a loss.
Yeah, but Portland could be shutting down too.
They could be. So
they're going to be locked into a spot. So that's a very winnable game.
All right, so we'll call it 12-5 then. So that puts the Kings at 45-37. That ties them with the Spurs.
And they own the
tiebreaker. So the playoffs are still, I say on that back-to-back, Sacramento beats Boston, loses to Philly. And I agree with that. I think that's ultimately the way it's going to come down. But they have to win one of those 2. If they lose to Boston, they have to beat Philly. If they beat Boston, they lose, that's okay. But they have to win one of those back-to-backs. They cannot lose them both. Yeah. That ties them at 45-37. But then that puts them in the playoffs against most likely going to be Golden State. Is there any true hope that a playoff run can be sustained or even a series win could be had by the Kings in this series? I mean, it's going to be tough if they make it to the playoffs against the Warriors.
They're not going to. No, there's no way. There's no way that they're going to advance in the first round. It'd be nice if they won a game and didn't get swept.
At least one of the home games.
Yeah, I mean, at least it would be nice. They've played Golden State competitive all year. They've been really good games every year and come down to a couple of mistakes. So I say that maybe, they play a couple of those games and maybe one time the ball bounces in their direction and they get a win. And again, are you kidding me? I'd be happy if they get. I'm not happy. That's not the right thing. Just making the playoffs to me is going to be over the top, much better than I ever would have expected this team to do.
Right.
And it'll be a hands down success. If they win a game, even better. But they're not going to do anything against the Warriors. There's no way.
Mike wants to know if Sheen and I are going to the game on the 7th of April since it's our anniversary. Mike, if you have tickets for me, I'll go to the game. Otherwise, no, we won't be. Most likely we won't be. I haven't been to a game yet. I haven't been to a game since my birthday last year, which was against the Heat in March. Oscar, if the Kings make the playoffs, cherry on top of an already successful season. You hit
Absolutely.
the nail on the head. Oscar gets our first fan-featured comment of the show. Well said, Oscar. It's and what's funny is if you put that in any of the Kings groups right now, you will get destroyed by so many people because this season they weren't supposed to underachieve. They were supposed to be good and blah 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 blah. There's so many Kings fans are under this false sense of they were supposed to be amazing. It's like, no, shut the fuck. No, they weren't. They were supposed to be shitty, and they're playing above and beyond anybody and everybody's expectations. So there's just so much going on that a lot of people are just out of their mind right now. And hopefully this continues. Hopefully the Kings can figure it out to where, they're able to start making a true run and maybe, bring in some talent. Harrison Barnes' contract makes it very difficult to bring in max level guys. I'm not even sure that
they still have plenty of cap room though. With
Barnes. Well, with Barnes, they have like $37 million. It drops them substantially, which I don't even believe that they have a roster. They have a max slot available. I'm waiting for more numbers to come out on that. I haven't been able to completely confirm that or not, but but if you can get a mid-level guy here, if you can get one of those mid-level, players.
Well, Barnes can still opt out and and then re-sign with a little bit more favorable contract.
And that's the hope. Sammy Spearman says we should be in the finals this season. Sammy Spearman we won't even get into that this week. Something to keep in mind: we are ahead of schedule from where we are. This is
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and there's still, what do we say? There's still 16 games left, right? 17 games left.
Well,
the Kings have tied the highest win total in the DeMarcus Cousins era ever yesterday with that win against New York, and there's still 17 games left to go. So this young core versus a solo superstar clearly is solo.
Don't call him a superstar.
All-star, solo star. We'll call him a star.
Yeah.
Because he is a star player. He's just not a superstar quality player at this point. Where realistically, if you took fandom out of it, if you were an outside person looking in who followed the Kings this season, where do you put the Kings finishing the year? Because I know, like, we went through and we picked the wins and losses, but a lot of that is because we are Kings fans and we're looking for that. So if you take the outside perspective, where do you realistically see this team landing?
42 wins. I see him at 42. 42 and 40.
Oh, God, hold on. Here we go. Mike Barnum, question. What do you call a deep three from Harrison Barnes?
I don't know. I am kind of scared to ask.
Hold on, Mike. Don't answer. Let me get the soundboard ready. All right, Mike, go ahead. What's the answer? I used to have...
Oh, there you do.
Come on, Mike.
We're waiting on you, buddy. Come on. You can do it.
There's a delay.
What?
Damn it, Barn Bomb.
What now?
I'm just going to go through all these damn things.
Throw a little booch in there.
I'll say he's an idiot.
A Barnes bomb.
Ah.
That is actually kind of clever, though. I'll give him that. It works better in writing than it does saying it, a Barnes bomb. But so, Mike, I'll give you half credit for that one.
Mike's feeling himself today. Hey, Mike, how'd your clock change go?
Oh boy. Goddamn clock change. So yeah, 42-43 I think is realistic. This is going to make a great podcast. Yeah, this it's going fantastically. So yeah.
I want to ask you a question. So I'm starting to cave to some of the idiots in in some of the Kings groups.
Okay.
And I'm wondering and kind of starting to question a little bit of Jaeger's
Rotations.
yeah.
Okay.
You know, I know that he's trying to keep them rested, and especially Buddy and Fox and those younger guys who haven't been through seasons like this before. But why are you waiting till 3 or 4 or 5 minutes left in the game to bring Fox and Heel back into the game when it's close? Why not give that? Why not give them a little bit of rest at the end of the third and beginning of the fourth and bring it back with 9 minutes left?
And I'll even add to that. Why are you letting, like, Buddy starts the game out yesterday terribly. He was like 3 for 12 or whatever it was. Then he hits
for like 10 from 3.
He was like 2 for 8 or whatever it was from 3. And then he hits a hot streak and starts making shots left and right. And then you bench him for like 9 minutes. Did Coach Greg just advocate for the firing of Coach TJ?
No, I didn't say that.
I agree with you, though. It is getting questionable. It is something that is a little bit concerning.
And even Napier and Christie questioned it yesterday during the game. It's like, why isn't he playing right now? You know, and then all of a sudden he came in. But I'm starting to kind of question that. I mean, obviously he's got a better handle on the team than I do. And he's got to have a plan and a reason why he's doing it. I'm not advocating for these guys to play 42 minutes a game like some of the idiots are.
Right.
But, you know, I think I think I'm starting to want to see that rest just kind of changed a little bit. Just kind of the time where he's taken it and maybe moved around a little bit. And I want my best 5 players on the floor for the last 7 or 8 minutes of the game.
I can agree with that for sure.
I don't want my best 5 players sitting on the bench till 4 minutes with the risk of. Luckily, it's panned out to where, you know, there's been a few times where it works because they're, you know, the second unit's doing all right, but there's been a few of those games where that's been a time where things have fallen apart, and it takes them a second to get back into the swing of the game.
Agreed. And the other concerning thing about that is he's doing it more now at a time where we don't have the same depth with Bagley being out.
Yeah.
You know, if you're running a lineup with Farrell, Bagley, Giles, you know, Bielitsa, and Brewer, I'm okay with those guys getting longer minutes of rest. But when Giles slides in and is taking the role of Bagley and getting those minutes, and Bielitsa is not performing all that great, you know, you're leveraging a lot of poor minutes with those guys without the depth of getting the other guys back in. And, you know, I'd be okay with it maybe if he tries to work like Frank Mason in, or try to work in, you know, Yogi more or whatever, not keeping. I think the problem with it is, you know, it wouldn't be so bad if Fox or Buddy were sitting longer periods of time if he had scores on the court. You know, you're stretching out minutes for a thinner rotation than he should be. I think if he opens the bench up more and brings in a couple more guys, let Costa get some offensive minutes, like I said, let Mason get some minutes in there to give the other guys a rest, because then you're stretching everybody super thin. You know, if you're going to run weird rotations with your guys on the bench, then you need to stretch it out so that the other guys that are playing longer minutes aren't getting so worn out.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did Mike say?
Yeah. It was some Mike-ism.
Mike, no, they don't. With Napier and Christie sitting courtside at every game, Coach Jaeger always hears what they're saying, and in many cases responds to what they say throughout the game. No, he doesn't. He can't hear shit that they're saying. They're having a regular conversation. They're not yelling. They're not screaming. You hear them loudly because they're talking into a microphone, Michael. You see this right here? It's a microphone. If I didn't have this, I would just be talking. It'd be hard for you to hear me. Doug and Grant are loud because it's going through the headphones. You cannot hear those guys even sitting courtside yelling or talking normal to the coach. He can't hear anything. There's too many things going on. The fans, the music, the ball bouncing, the players yelling. I guarantee you, unless they're talking directly to him during like a timeout or during a coach's thing or whatever, or a ref's thing, then they're not hearing shit that he's saying.
No.
So you could roll that thought back. What happened to Oster says, what happened to Costa with Bagley out? Why can't Costa get some run? I agree with that. I don't understand it. Whatever happened to Caleb Swanigan? Yeah, why?
Isn't he playing in Stockton?
They recalled him a couple games ago, and he never even came up, or he never even hit the floor. So I don't know. There's a lot of iffy things going on, and I think, while it is a little bit concerning, I definitely don't think it's any reason to call for the head of Coach Yeager.
No,
because we need to keep that going. He also asked, Oscar also asked, "What do you think of the play of Bielitsa recently?"
Well, he went for such a long stretch of not playing. He's been inconsistent, and that's what's going to happen when you sit for as many. I mean, he probably went 10 games without playing?
Had to have been at least 7, maybe more.
Yeah. So, I'd love to see Bielitsa and Costa Koufis lineup where they almost go from running and fast to playing a little bit tougher and a little bit slower and a little bit more physical. And those two guys could give us that physical lineup that we need.
If they could work a way, and I think Frank Mason falls perfectly into this. If they could work out a lineup, so right now the starting five, you have Willie, you have Bogdan, you have Harrison Barnes, you have Buddy, and you have Fox, right?
Right.
And then your sixth man off the bench typically is Giles or Bagley. That's your run and gun. Those are your run and gun lineups, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your second unit were to come in midway through the quarters, I like Bogey off the bench better than starting. I agree. I think
absolutely. I'm 100% behind you, Oscar.
I think Bogey falls into a little bit of a slump when he's out there because he doesn't get the shots right away. He comes in off the bench. He's the go-to guy. He gets the shots, and I think that's when you see him being more productive. So let's say so that's your running gun that they're currently running. If you take BB-8 out of that and you put Bielitsa back in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still a good shooting lineup. That's still a good one there. And then your second lineup can be, you can run Kosta Koufis, Bagley. You can almost run Giles with them.
I was thinking the same thing too.
You have BB-8 and then you have Frank Mason. That's a slow it down, beat you up lineup. That doesn't have to be a run and gun. And I think if you could run both of those over the course of a game, I think that messes with teams more than just running them off the court, because now it's like, okay, we have to prepare for this team twice. We have to make sure that we're doing this in multiple facets. We have to make sure that we're attacking them in multiple different ways. And then you just, you take it to a whole different level, and then you mix it up and you throw Bagley out there with Fox and you get them running, and you throw Giles and Willie Cauley-Stein and all those guys out there. So you could essentially run a three-headed monster at every team in this league. And I think Yeager's trying to figure that out, but at the same time, I think Yeager's is almost as confused by it as we are, that he's not hitting those numbers the way that we want him to, hitting the lineups the way we want him to.
And I think the other thing is, I think he's trying to save these guys. I think he doesn't want to throw too much on them. I mean, Fox he's a second-year player.
Yeah.
Bagley and Giles are both rookies, basically. Buddy's a third-year player. Those guys haven't been through this kind of war before. So I can see what he's doing, and he's trying to protect them. But, I think at this point, what do you got to lose? You're not going to destroy them as players. You're not going to ruin their potential. So for the next 15 or 16 games, you throw them out there and you play them for 38 or 39 minutes. I still don't see going over 40 at all, ever. I just don't think that's smart. But I think you play them a little bit more, and you definitely start playing those guys down the stretch.
I agree. Oscar says, what is the contract status of Yogi Ferrell and Frank Mason? So let's look up Sacramento Kings.
I think Mason might have one more year on his rookie contract.
I believe he might. Let's see. Kings player payroll. Barnes has an option. Alec Burks. Oh, they have Alec Burks too. I forgot about him. Bagley, Bielitsa, Fox. So who am I looking for? Yogi Ferrell has one more year, 3.1 million next year. Frank Mason has one more year as well, 1.6 million next year. Both of those are guaranteed contracts. And then as far as next season goes, they have Barnes has his player option at 25 million. And then in 2021 is when team options start landing. The Kings have a team option on Bagley, Fox, Giles, and Swanigan. God, the Kings are still paying Matt Barnes. Jesus.
Are they really?
They pay him 2.1 million the next 2 seasons. This season and next. And then they have Corey Brewer as well. Obviously, he got picked up on the $2 million deal for the rest of the season. We're still paying Caron Butler. We're still paying Deontay Davis. And TJ, we're still paying your boy. We're still paying your boy, Giorgio Papagiannis, $2 million for this season. Who do you keep after next season, Yogi or Mason?
I think right now you got to keep Yogi.
Yeah, I think Yogi fits way better.
I think Mason could be a good trade chip. You know, he's not a bad player. He just doesn't fit in with this team. So he could be somebody that you could package with a pick and get a mid-level guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think he could be a piece in like a sign and trade kind of deal in the offseason. But I like Frank. I like Frank a lot. I think like you said, I don't think he fits. And it kind of falls under the same category that what's his name, who just got rid of Scal fell into. Like Scal a lot. You thought he had good potential, but he just didn't have the piece that we needed to make the floor. It's just he fell into kind of a bad spot when it came to the type of player in the position that he was in. So TJ says you keep Yogi. I agree 100%.
Did you see the Scal news this last week?
No.
So I can't remember who they were playing. They were playing somebody. And
let's get them. They were playing somebody.
Oh, shut up. Whoever it was got ejected. And so what was it? Or somebody got hurt. I don't know. Anyway, so the other coach had to pick a guy to come off the bench to shoot free throws. Pick Scal. Scal hadn't shot a free throw since before Christmas, and he came in and bricked 2 of them. TJ, who are they playing?
Scal gets no run. OKC.
Yeah.
Oscar's on it. That's funny and kind of shitty at the same time.
I know, right?
But hey, you know what? It's all part of the business, right? Part of the game. Let's see. Cool. So that Oscar, does that satisfy your Kings talk? Are we good now? Greg Vroza, National Day of the Day or week or whatever the hell it is. What is it?
There's some good ones today. There's some to choose from. But today, no, that's not that. It is National Super Mario Brothers Day. Actually, Mario Day.
I can get down on that.
It's actually National Mario Day today. Also, Blueberry Popover Day and Pack Your Lunch Day. So let's go with it's Mario Day today.
What's tomorrow? Just so we know.
Tomorrow is. Well, there's all kinds of them.
I can't find the damn music I'm playing to stop it. There it is.
Oh, there's some good ones. I'll let you guys.
We'll wait for tomorrow. We'll wait for tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll wait for you to post tomorrow. Right. Today is also WWE Fastlane Day for those of you that care. But let's switch gears. Let's hear from. Let's pay some bills real quick, and then we're going to talk 49ers. Since we opened the show with the Raiders, we'll close with the 49ers. So here we go. Hey guys, I'm excited to announce a new partnership with Antonio Pacheco from Folsom Lake Ford. Tony has been my go-to sales guy for a number of years, and he's come on board to bring the awesome sales buying experience to each and every one of you. All of his information is on our website at sportstalk916.com, but if you're in a hurry and you're looking for a new See you later, Oscar. Give him a call today. Antonio Pacheco, area code 530-218-7069. He will answer all of your questions in regards to the car buying experience, and he is the main guy that I trust in the Sacramento area for all of your car buying needs. Again, Antonio Pacheco, Folsom Lake Ford, 530-218-7069. Sweet. And also, we'll always remind you to, if you're looking to buy a home, refinance a home, looking to see if you even have the opportunity to do so, you always want to give Albert Chavez a call from United Wholesale Lending. Albert is our go-to lender. He can hook you up with all the information you need in order to purchase a new home, or like we said, refinance, or just look into the options that you may have in the next 6 months to a year. Very thorough, very upfront, and he'll get the job done for you. Albert Chavez, 916-230-1537. His information is on our website at sportstalk916.com, and you can find him on Facebook as well. So give him a call today, 916-230-1537. 49ers. So the Niners, as we mentioned, were not in on they were not in on Antonio Brown, which we're not terribly upset about. It would have been nice to see them possibly go for, make a move at somebody, but it's bringing up more rumors now that they may actually be in on Odell Beckham Jr. The Giants have been said to be okay to listen to offers. The Niners have been more linked toward OBJ than they have Antonio Brown. I think you get a better player out of Odell Beckham Jr. than you do out of Antonio Brown, especially for a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. So I have a two-part question for you. One, do you want to see the Niners make a move possibly at Odell Beckham Jr.? And two, did the Giants waiting for the Antonio Brown deal to go down hurt themselves in the opportunity to get more for Odell Beckham Jr. because Antonio Brown only went for a third and a fifth round pick?
Absolutely. I don't think anybody saw Antonio Brown only going for a third and a fifth. I mean, all the talk I heard was that 27th pick is what it was going to cost him. So absolutely, they hurt themselves. I wouldn't mind seeing him go for Beckham Jr. It's not going to hurt. I agree with you 100% that he's a much better fit for Garoppolo than Brown would be. Not a much better, but he would be a better fit. He's able to a little bit better on the jump ball, I think, than Brown is. With that being said, as long as we don't have to spend, you brought this up earlier, and you compared the Antonio Brown possibilities to Bryce Harper, where you're going to have one guy on your team eating up a huge chunk of your payroll.
Right.
And we already have that in terms of the Niners, we already have that with Garoppolo. I don't think you can have two guys taking up that big of a chunk and be successful. I mean, look at the teams that are playing well. Look at the Rams. Goff is still on his rookie contract. He's not making any money.
Next season.
Yeah. So, I'm all right with them not going after Brown, not breaking the bank. I'd be all right if they could get Beckham with the contract that he's got now. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not as bad as Brown's.
Yeah, OBJ just signed that deal. He's not going to be demanding a new deal. It's going to be you get him for what he's already under contract for.
Right.
But I think you at least got to kick the tires on it.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
The other thought that I have is
I just don't want them. I don't want them to have to give up that second pick for.
okay. So let me ask you this: let's get off the trade market. The Niners have been rumored to be in talks with the Kansas City Chiefs for a trade for D Brown, who was just franchise tagged, or D Ford. I'm sorry, not D Brown, D Ford. And if they do that and they have him as an outside rusher, they just restructured Malcolm Smith. Cassius Marsh is still around. They have Warner, sorry, and then you have Buckner, Armstead, and Solomon Thomas, all pass rushers. Can you see Kyle Shanahan, if they bolster the defense in free agency before the draft, can you see Lynch and Shanahan moving back 2 or 3 spots from 2, maybe to 3 or 4, especially if the Raiders or Giants or someone are really high on Kyler Murray and he's available, or someone is really high on Bosa or Allen, and as long as he stays on sides. Shut up, TJ. And going after that wide receiver Metcalf, the fucking truck of a wide receiver that everyone's just been raving about. He ran super fast 40. He's super strong. Kyle Shanahan has made comments in the past about a wide receiver like that only comes around once in a lifetime, being as built as he is and as good as he is. If they can bolster the defense early on in free agency, maybe sign an Earl Thomas, look at like a HaHa Clinton Dix at safety since they missed out on Eric Weddle. Do you take a gamble on that big wide receiver at 3 or 4 and give Garoppolo that, or maybe you fall back to 5 or 6, but I think that kid's talent is going to be a very, very high level talent that would allow the the Niners to, excel on offense. Like, you talk about OBJ going up and getting the jump ball. You talk about Antonio Brown spreading the defense. Show me a defensive back that's 5 foot or 6 foot tall that's going to tackle this guy. Who's going to be able to jump higher? Who's going to be able to go up and get? You don't need lateral movement when you're a wide receiver. You just need to be able to run up and down the field. Lateral is a linebacker. You're not moving laterally when you're a wide receiver. You're running side to side, but you're not shuffling.
Yeah.
Cool. Throw the ball in a straight line. Let that motherfucker go get it. He's a rookie. He'll learn to run routes.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot of 5 foot tall defensive backs out there. Sorry, that was a little bit late.
No, I get what you're saying, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, do you take a gamble on a guy like that, or do you maybe try to package 2, and you slide back in? There's got to be teams in this league right now that have multiple first round picks. Maybe the Raiders do. Yeah, maybe the Raiders give up 4 and 21 or whatever it is, or 27 or whoever it is that they have to move up to 2 to get the guy that they want, and then you have the ability to take that kid the later round. And you still grab a Bosa or an Allen or somebody that's available at 4. Sean says he'd rather have Bosa. Bosa just worries me that Bosa, if Bosa could stay healthy, I'm cool with it. But I'm just worried that he's just not going to be there.
Right. So I'm looking at the CBS mock draft right now. And they're saying one guy has Metcalf, and that's who we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Oh, shit, hold on. Fucking
CBS loves to play ads that you can't control the volume on.
I know, right? So one guy's got Metcalf at 21.
That's a win, but it's not the only reason I swim.
That's a win. Nice.
That's a win. He's got him at 21. Another guy, I can't. My computer's all jacked up right now because it's stupid.
Yeah, but if we could get him, if we could fall back to around who's at 21 on the draft?
Baltimore, the Colts.
Oh, the Colts on the Ravens.
You know what I meant.
You fucking old man.
I am. Yes, the Indianapolis Colts.
So this CBS draft has So this one has Kyler Murray going 1, Bosa 2, Allen, and then Devin White to the Raiders at 4. Yeah, they have Metcalf going
9. We're looking at the same one.
No, this one has Ed Oliver going 9. Where's Metcalf going? To the Falcons at 14.
Okay.
Um,
So I have 3 or 4 of them up right now. They have a whole bunch of them. So
let me ask you this then. Let's just, instead of saying do you gamble? So let's say you take Bosa or Allen, right? And you solidify that line. Even if you get D Ford, that makes that Niners defensive line one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league on paper.
Right.
You go after a Earl Thomas, who I think the Niners are going to be the first to go after because Richard Sherman really wants him here, and he's already made it clear that he's not going to take a hometown discount for the Cowboys. Right. You sign Thomas, or even you sign a HaHa Clinton Dix out of Green Bay.
I'd like that. I would like that. I like Clinton Dix.
What if Kyle Shanahan rolls the clock back a year, and let me preface this. The deal with Antonio Brown is going to hurt teams when it comes to marquee wide receivers. The marquee wide receiver pool right now is going to be extremely benefited by this Antonio Brown deal. So much so that I think teams are going to be looking to leverage some of their wide receivers. Because they're just not going to be able to sign them under the current means of the contract. So imagine guys like AJ Green, Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper. Those guys are set for big paydays because of this new Antonio Brown deal, right?
Yeah.
More guaranteed money, no new years. Basically, it's just an increase in yearly salary. There's one guy that's under contract until 2020 who I don't think the team is going to want to give this Antonio Brown type money to, that Kyle Shanahan, I think, would bend over backwards multiple times to get. And with Antonio Brown being traded for a 3rd and a 5th round pick, I think a 3rd or even maybe a 2nd round pick, or maybe a 2nd and a 4th, a 3rd and a 4th, could land a guy like Julio Jones out of Atlanta and bring him to San Francisco and give him that type of Antonio Brown money here.
Yeah.
Why don't the Niners try maybe kicking the tires on something like that? Get that marquee wide receiver to go with Goodwin and go with whoever. You don't take a gamble on Metcalf, who, like Josh said, is doesn't have the lateral movement. He is raw. I mean, if there's a better term for a guy like him, it's going to be raw. Would you rather go that route and try to land a Julio Jones for that big money that we've talked about with OBJ and with Antonio Brown?
I mean, if you can pick him up, if you can get Julio and not have to break the bank.
Well, you're going to have to break the bank. If you trade for him, he's only under contract until next season. You're going to have to give him that deal like Antonio Brown, something similar to Antonio Brown. Brown's deal was 3 years, $50.1 million, $30.1 million guaranteed. That type of money typically is a 4 or 5 year deal up until today.
Right.
So, it's going to be newly structured quarterback or newly structured contracts. And I think Kirk Cousins essentially is hurting the league by getting that 100% guaranteed contract he got in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Other players now are like, wait a minute. Wide receivers and running backs are like, hold on. You're not going to be as good as you are to get a guaranteed contract. If you're not throwing the ball to us, why are we not getting those guaranteed contracts either? So
right.
I think that's going to be interesting. Free agency opens up in 3 days. The draft is close.
To answer your question, though, I would rather have Odell Beckham Jr. than Julio Jones. Julio Jones is great in between the 10-yard lines. He doesn't catch touchdown passes. I had him on my fantasy team this year, and he didn't have any touchdown passes until game 8 or 9. And then he went on a little bit of a streak and caught 3 or 4, but he's not a touchdown catcher. He's good in between. He's good outside the red zone. Once you get into the red zone, he kind of disappears.
There's one more name that's come up, and Adam Schefter's mentioned it. ESPN Talking Heads have mentioned it multiple times to go to the 49ers, and that's Le'Veon Bell. And a lot of Niner fans, and I know your first thought probably too, because it was mine, is, well, we already have Jerick McKinnon. Why do we need Le'Veon Bell? We signed Jerick McKinnon to a big deal last year. Why do we need Le'Veon Bell? We have Matt Breida. We have the other kid that we just signed. Mostert, we signed to an extension. what do you bring Le'Veon Bell in for? Well,
You bring
one-
Le'Veon Bell in because Le'Veon Bell's Le'Veon Bell.
right. And if you look at Shanahan's success in Atlanta, I just got an email from Nintendo. Hey, it's Mario Day. You look at Shanahan's success in Atlanta. He had a dual. He had Freeman or Devontae Freeman, and he had the other dude. I can't think of what his name is right now, but he had a dual-headed running back. You could bring in Bell, pay him all that money, keep McKinnon, and have a very, very strong dual threat back. Or Jerick McKinnon's deal is structured in a way that if they cut him before June, it's only a $3 million dead money hit. You could get rid of Jerick McKinnon and be like, all right, fuck it, see ya. Have a good day. You're getting, it's only going to cost us $3 million to get rid of your ass.
Right.
Do you think the Niners need to make a splash on a name like that to have a successful year, to bounce back after what happened last year?
I don't think they do. It'd be nice if they did, but I don't think they have to. I think
them to? It kind of falls back into that Bryce Harper umbrella.
Yeah. I don't think I do now. I think I'd rather see them shore up their defense. And
let me ask this. On defense, let's say they go out and they make a trade for D Ford and they sign a Earl Thomas. And I mentioned the other guys they brought back. At that point, do you consider an offensive weapon like Le'Veon Bell?
Do you have enough money for him?
Why wouldn't you? They have like $67 million in cap space or some shit like that for the season.
Yeah, but Thomas isn't going to be cheap.
Yeah, but
He's
Thomas
not
is going to take up 60. He's going to probably get like a 3-year, 3-year or 2-year, probably $30 million or 330 deal, 10 or 12 million a year maybe. I don't think he's going to get that much.
No,
you can get a HaHa Clinton Dix for cheaper and longer.
Yeah. And I'd rather have him than Thomas anyway.
You can go out and get, if you could trade for D Ford, he's still on his rookie deal, I believe. There's a lot of options out there. Don't sleep on Dante Pettis. He's going to be a great. Oh, I agree 100%. I think Dante Pettis is going to be fantastic. But if you could put Julio Jones with Dante Pettis, then you just made Dante Pettis that much better of a wide receiver as well. So it's going to be crazy. I mean, this is like one of the more exciting times of the year. Is when baseball's free agency used to be, and it took a back seat because no one signs anymore. Yeah, D Ford is franchise, Josh, but the Niners and Chiefs have been talking about a trade for him because apparently the Chiefs don't see a future with him.
And so the Packers have been in on that too.
Yeah, the Packers have been in on it also. The other thing is your buddy, the position he plays is solidified for the San Francisco 49ers. Your buddy Bradley Pinion.
Mm-hmm.
Is telling people in his close circles that he doesn't think he'll be back with the 49ers next season.
No.
Yep.
No. Say it's not true.
We'll have to kill our soundboard. We'll have to we'll have to retire it.
No, because what they'll do, they'll draft another punter in the 5th or 6th round.
Jesus, that was like the best thing ever. Yeah, so I don't know why they would. I mean, Pinion, his rookie year, he was terrible, but he's turned it around. He's been a great asset for this team. Since the offense hasn't been able to move the ball, so
but he was still a 5th round fucking draft pick.
That's true. It's because of the switch to 4-3. Yeah, D Ford is expendable in the 4-3, so it should be interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had for us this week. You got anything else you wanted to cover?
No. I mean, I think I wish we had a show next week because I think we could talk a lot about some college basketball shit that's going down with coaches finally getting nailed on wiretaps of offering their players money. But
you and TJ are more than welcome, or you even by yourself are more than welcome to run your own show next week if you want.
James is coming into town next week, so
let's just save all that for when the tournament starts. By next weekend, we should have a lot more of the brackets and everything filled out because of the fact that all the conference tournaments are ending, and we'll get into it then. Cool. So for Greg Veroza, I'm Greg Bold. This was episode 275. Stay tuned. 30 minutes from now, you will see Sharks Talk 916 live on Facebook as well with Chad Thurston and Nolan Torrey. They're going to break down the Sharks and their run for the Stanley Cup playoffs. So until 2 weeks from now, For Greg, I'm Greg. Enjoy WWE Fastlane today.
God.
And we will see you guys all in a couple.